So I've got something that I wrote up for him, and then we each picked out a song for each other. Ready?
You ready back here?
Craig, she's gonna cry.
I am.
That's why she's coming this way.
Oh, I thought just her nose was going or something. I didn't know. Mess up her
I have to be nice, you know.
You got that sleep, or you don't
It's okay.
have sleep.
Oh, I took notes.
You want scream?
Sparkling baby girl. Oh, that looks festive. Thank you.
I tend not to be the sentimental sweet talker. You always say the right things. First of all, most people don't know that I was sort of a mail order bride. Craig and a creepy cook / manager of a small bar and grill had discussed that Craig needed a redhead with a large upper body and blue eyes, and I was hired as soon as I walked in the door because I fit a physical description. I had no experience, not a clue how to wait a table.
I didn't know it was that easy.
Craig was called by said creepy guy and told that Irish had been hired. It was harvest season or hay season or whatever farming time of year, so it took him a few weeks to have time to stop in. He drives by one night while I'm getting in my truck and sees the local guy I had started dating walking me out. The next night, this tall, skinny guy comes in, throws an arm around me and says, "I'm the kind of man you need." I believe he told me that he could cook. That's such a lie, because we hide the pots and pans when we come on vacation. You were pushy, you were obnoxious. You came in every night, you gave me a business card, and every night I tossed it out the window on my drive home. You were relentless. The guy I had been dating stopped coming in, and later I would learn it's because you told him that you and I were fooling around behind his back, and that he should just leave me alone. You ran him off. Thank you for that, by the way. But you also kind of get all that you deserve with me. But then one day, after a few weeks of being a total pain, you didn't show up. And a week went by, and some part of me really missed you. So I did what every mature 19-year-old girl does, and I hunted you down like a dog. It wouldn't be the last time you had to walk away from me to make me realize how much I needed you. But from that night on, we moved fast. 7 months later, we were married, and within weeks, we would see exactly how different we really were. And that is not in order. Hold on.
You lived it, yo.
I should, but
You mean it took y'all weeks to figure that out?
hush.
At least you knew that the second day.
Hold that. I am so sorry. These have been running around in my pocket for a week.
You were rushing out right situation. You should have been getting stuff.
There it is. It just got stuck. It's never been easy for us. We have nothing in common. We don't have the same music interests. We don't have the same hobbies. You're at ease on a tractor in the middle of a field, and I need an ocean. I will never appreciate the smell of fresh cut hay and that awful dust that a combine kicks up. Until I met you, I had no idea that those things mattered to anyone. You've always been the responsible adult, and I've been like this hot mess of fun. The look on your face when we had been together about 4 months and you came home to my truck being repossessed was priceless. All I could say was thank God they came and got it. You looked at me like I was nuts. You should have run, because most of your life since then has been a series of irrational, irresponsible moments on my behalf that you've had to clean up. But you always let me be me. Whatever phase I was going through, whatever career, and Lord knows I still have no clue what I want to be when I grow up. Whatever odd moment I was living in, you just let me be me. With such a big age difference between us, you were ready to settle when we met, and I'd just begun living. But you always allowed me the space to grow and to make my mistakes. I'm sure that you've shook your head at so many of the things I've done and probably still will do. But I needed to do them to get where I am today. This tribe of kids we have now is incredible, but no one would ever believe to gain it came with so much disappointment and heartache. God knew we were not ready. So for years, we went through fertility treatments. Life was a circus act trying to get pregnant, and month after month, disappointment was all we got. And when we decided that I couldn't do it anymore, and I wanted space, you tried to convince me to stay, but eventually, like when we met, you once again let me have my way, and eventually you stopped pursuing me. 3 months apart. 3 months of not seeing each other and no contact. We did horrible, stupid things, both of us. Yet you carry so much of the grief and take so much for the blame of all that has come after. And it was never all your fault. God knew what he was doing. He was growing us. Right before we bought a bar, 2 years before the almost divorce, a seed had been planted in me. Like everything in my life, I am so slow to catch on. But God knew exactly what 2 idiots he had to work with. God has worked supernaturally with us. We are not fast to learn. The weekend before the divorce was going to be final, I picked up my truck, I was getting in a settlement, and as I flipped on the radio, a line in the song came on, and it was almost exactly what you had said to my mom at the start of the divorce. You feared I would be too stubborn or pig-headed to call if I changed my mind. It haunted me the whole weekend. The truck sounded like the engine was going out. That held a divorce off since Tuesday, since it was Labor Day. The truck would never make that sound again. That weekend, God worked on my heart, and everything felt wrong. The preacher had come by to check on me, and he saw I was in a bad place. He never judged what and where I was at the time. He just was enough of a presence to make me think about things. At midnight on what was Labor Day, as I flipped through the TV, the Jerry Lewis telethon came on, which Craig and I always laid in bed and watched. The clock radio by the bed came on, and it was Garth Brooks' When You Come Back to Me. That was our song. And I knew at that moment I had made the biggest mistake of my life. I read a line in a book one time. Life isn't about what you can live with, but what you can't live without. I knew that I couldn't live another day without you. That all the differences, the fact that you would never understand why I do half of what I do, and I would never love most of what you loved, it didn't matter anymore. I didn't know if it were too late, if you had moved on. I just knew I had to try, or I would always wonder. Thankfully, God was working both ends. And as much as you looked like you were loving the single life, you were as empty and miserable as I was. And when we met to talk, and I got out of the stupid truck that no longer sounded broken, as soon as I saw you, I couldn't remember why I ever stopped loving you. We have lost so many babies, but as you have felt every loss with me, you felt every absence of life. It was never my pain to carry alone, and that made the burden so much lighter to bear. Even in those losses, we found a way to become closer, not just to each other, but to God. When we got the diagnosis of autism, we were crushed. The kids we longed for, we finally had, but it was going to be a struggle, because nothing is ever just easy for us. But we found a way, and autism didn't stop us from wanting a bigger family. And when our children were diagnosed with a disease that would kill them, you refused to believe it. They say you're supposed to have the faith like a child, and when I accepted the death sentence, you prayed and you fasted, and you prayed and you fasted, and God gave us the biggest miracle of our lives. And when my faith is weak, you pull me back. And when I feel like I am lost, you find me. In each of our trials, God used us for him. Then came a time a year ago, I felt like we were falling away from each other. I know I have changed so much in the last year, and once again, when I needed to stretch and grow, you stood by and let me. I worried a lot. We had kids together, but what did we have after that? When the kids grow up and are gone, what would we have left together? The best years of our lives had come when we had babies. Then we got our first night away. I am a huge Rob Thomas fan. And when my dad scored these amazing seats at a concert, it was an hour away, so we took the nervous plunge, and we did an overnight away from our kids for the first time. I know you were probably just focused on the fact that we had a hotel night for the night and no kids, but for me, something changed that night. Most of our tragic times had Rob Thomas music attached to them, and as we sat there, all the memories from all those years filled my heart. And I realized that I wasn't afraid of what was going to happen when the kids grew up and leave. Suddenly, I wasn't afraid to grow old with you. And as a matter of fact, in that moment, all I could think about was how I can't wait to spend what is left of this time on earth that I have with you. Just being your wife. I know I don't say it enough. I know you worry that you have disappointed us in our life together. I also know that at times this last year you have worried that I would grow apart from you as I changed my life. You never have to worry about that, because I have been so blessed to have someone who sees me, There's so much more that I am and believes in me. You have loved me sick, healthy. You've loved me fat. You've loved me not as fat. You've loved me with green, blue, and purple hair. You've loved me when I was completely irrational and when I made sense. You loved me like no one else ever could, and you have tolerated so much. And we have really had bad times, and we have taken our vows that we first said to each other to an extreme. But in the end, we still ended up side by side. Some people have an ordinary life and an ordinary love, and we are never going to be that because we are epic. And all of those beautiful differences have made me what I am today. And I love you.
Oh.
Can we drink? We can drink. We can drink. Kaylin.
When the hour is upon and the beauty shows well, you will not be forgotten.
Have you ever had real champagne? Real champagne is god awful.
You will not be and when the day has over,
Hey, how many pictures have you taken?
the echo starts to fade.
I took enough so that whenever people were blinking, I could just delete those.
What?
If anybody's blinking, I can just delete
Do you know what she said? She said, I took enough so they might blink, I still got one. I'm okay.